नमस्कार, जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेव टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अचिंत। मेरे साथ हैं वाइस एडमिरल शेखर सिन्हा। सर's ओपिनियन आई रियली रिस्पेक्ट। सर से हमने 3-4 बारी पहले भी बात करी है इस चैनल के ऊपर। सो वी विल टॉक अबाउट द मैरिटाइम एस्पेक्ट, ये जो पूरी वॉर चल रही है इसके अंदर, क्योंकि बहुत सारा कंफ्यूजन है, बड़े सारे नैरेटिव्स हैं, स्पेशली अबाउट द नेवी। लेट्स फाइंड आउट पहले तो इस वॉर के बारे में, एंड ऑफ कोर्स भारत की नेवी को अपना फ्यूचर इस वॉर को देख के किस तरह क्या मॉडिफाई करना चाहिए कि नहीं। सर नमस्कार, वेलकम टू द शो।
Namaskar, Adiji, and namaskar to all your viewers. Always a pleasure coming back with you because you speak ask very probing questions, and
थैंक यू
that
सर।
puts my mind to work, which is an old guy like me. If mind doesn't function, we will stop functioning.
थैंक सर।
So thank you very much for giving me this chance.
ऑनर्स माइन सर। सर आई वांट टू स्टार्ट विद दिस आइरिस देना वाला इंसिडेंट। ठीक है, श्रीलंका के कोस्ट के बाहर था वो, उसके एक्सक्लूसिव इकोनॉमिक जोन में जाके यूएस ने इसको मार दी। दे शॉट दैट शिप डाउन। इनिशियली पहले 2 दिन तो वी वर ब्लेम्ड फॉर इट। कई तो हमारे सो कॉल्ड रिनाउंड एक्सपर्ट्स हैं, उन्होंने तो एक आर्टिकल लिख दिया कि भैया इंडिया ने लोकेशन शेयर करी थी उसकी। आई मीन इट जस्ट वेंट आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल, द होल नैरेटिव वेंट आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल। हाउ डू यू सी दिस सर? ये जो शिप थी एक्सरसाइज के लिए आई थी, कई लोग बोलते हैं इट वाज अनार्म्ड। बेचारा, ठीक है बेचारा होना चाहिए, 100 लोग मर गए, फेयर इनफ, आई मीन गॉड ब्लेस देयर सोल्स। बट हाउ डू यू सी दिस इंसिडेंट दैट टुक प्लेस?
Well, thank you. I think this question has been asked a number of times here in a lot of TV channels and media offices. Adi, the ship came for IFR, International Fleet Review in Visakhapatnam. I was there. In fact, I met the commanding officer in a very formal function, and I saw the march past of these Iranian sailors. I was very impressed because having come that distance, which is about nearly 2,000 kilometers, when sanctions are on and they are fighting till then it was not a proper war, but war of words was going on with the US. Uh, I've always been impressed with their innovativeness. It's not a push-through navy. It's you have to take just to buttress my feeling when I was heading the Western Naval Command. Uh, the Iranian ambassador he called up. He said one of his submarine wants to pay a visit to Mumbai. And I was a bit surprised because they had been under sanction for a very long time. We enjoy a good relation with every country in this zone. I said, you have a word at naval headquarters? Yes, sir, I have already spoken, and they have cleared it. Some message will come to you. I said, fair enough, and I am willing. I will be very more than happy to receive it. It got delayed by 6, 7 days. I didn't know why, but I will tell you that as we go along. He came and came alongside. The ambassador was in town. He rang me up. I said, please come and have lunch with me. And he sat in my office. And he said it had a major failure of one of the pumps. He said, which you will understand better. It's called extraction pump. I said, yes, I understand very well. It's fitted, below the main engine, so that you can keep extracting the lubrication oil which has been used. And removing that is a dockyard job. It is not a ship staff job. We can't do it. If they have rectified, I would really like to go and hug the captain. And I decided to visit the submarine. Normally, since they don't go for all this. Anyway, I went. And that commanding officer was the commander, very happy to have a CNC on board, senior in rank to his chief of naval staff. So he took me around the ship, I mean the boat, and we walked through the submarine, through and through the combat management room. And I said, which is that pump which had failed? And he showed me the pump. And I was quite surprised. I said, how did you manage to lift the main engine? He said, sir, we drifted at sea for 7 days. For 7 days and 7 nights, he was drifting, rectifying this because he had no power. If he lifts the main diesel, how does he get power? See? And he can't keep battery on all the time because, that's his last resort. So I really shook hands and really hugged him at that time. I was in uniform, he was in uniform. After all that, all nice words and all that, we came out on the same kilo class submarine which we have. And when I came out on the submarine's casing that is outside, I saw the some different kind of rubber padding noise suppression mechanism because we also have one. So I asked him that this doesn't look like original kilos rubber combing. He said, no, sir, with so much of sanction, we could not have got it from OEM. And we manufactured it our own within the country. I said, he's doing a very good job because we were tracking the submarine, we were finding it. The ranges we got in our sonars and pickup ranges were much lesser than what we would get for normal kilo class submarine. It means the suppression of noise was much more. So that much for the innovation of the Iranians. It was a much better combing. So that is that. Now, coming back to Iranian naval ship Dina's unfortunate loss, sad by any standard, even as a naval officer, having met the commanding officer and the whole crew the previous 2 3 nights prior. Let me talk about the legalities. When he left, he was given a farewell. He left the Indian waters. Indian waters are the territorial waters, 12 nautical miles or 30 or 24, 25 kilometers. After that, the submarine is on their own. And we lose all legal rights to force them to come inside. Only when they make a request, we can do that. Now, till then, the US had not declared that Iran is a enemy country.
Mm.
When he was coming close to Sri Lankan coast, this announcement was made. The ship's captain knew and he chose to continue. He had an option to enter Sri Lanka. They would have allowed. After all, they allowed another ship to submarine to come in. We would allow him to come back. In fact, he was also advised semi-informally that you can stay on if you want, but he chose to go. And he was into the international waters, that is beyond the territorial waters of. For all purposes of navigation, Adi, right of innocent passage of a warship is beyond 12 nautical miles. Beyond 12 nautical miles, it's got a right of innocent passage, except two countries who said no, up to the contiguous zone, which is 24 nautical miles, you will have to inform us. India, warships, India and China. But UNCLOS clears beyond 12 miles, warships can transit, except that the submarines, combat submarines, will have to be on surface and they have to be flying the country's flag.
Mm.
Okay, they can't go direct. So that's the rule. Now he was, as far as transit is concerned, he was international waters, and if he has been targeted after the announcement has been made that we will find all Iranian ships, boats, and we'll hit them. So the nuclear submarine has fired a torpedo from a very close distance and sort of sunk that boat. Moment the signal was heard, on the SOS, Indian Navy's PATI immediately on top of the task. Two submarines, two ships from Cochin immediately moved. And of course, the Sri Lankan Navy just sent everything that was possible, being taken charge by a naval officer who was there all the time making statements. So we supported in picking up, finding out all that. Now, coming to the legality, after Second World War, no war has been officially declared to date, except Mrs. Gandhi having declared that we are at war with Pakistan.
Mhm.
Okay, no war has been declared that we are at war. So
Mm.
this would have been an exception. But here, if the Secretary of War has made an announcement, it's a war. He's after all he's a government. So he has hit when the war has been declared, and therefore to try out any legally, the U.S. Navy will not be blamed as per the maritime law. So you can't blame him that it's manslaughter. He was unarmed. Now, two things. While we were talking informally, warships never sail without weapons, and at least the sensors functioning.
mm,
At least there is a minimum outfit which we must carry, and we declare what we are carrying when we enter a friendly port. Like Iran, India, they came. Uh, they were mostly at anchorage. They were not inside. Some of them got berth inside the civil harbor, but so that was it was as much surprise as it would have surprised you. Uh, at least in WNC and Western Fleet, where I've served most of my life, no ship or submarine sails out of harbor. On the western coast, it is fully armed because you don't know when the heat is balloon is going to go up. So that is our sort of unwritten law. Everybody will be fully armed because you can't have a war suddenly being declared and then you say that I'll go back to harbor to arm and come back. No, government wants to know when can you do it. When can you get an offensive action? The naval chief should be able to say it now. Naval chief must have the option of saying now, and that now is provided by Western Naval Command and Western Fleet because we are there. And if we are not prepared, then who else will be prepared? Is that I mean, sorry, I'm diverging a little bit. So a warship must be armed, and all sensors must be functioning. So that surprised me, whatever be the reason they may have given a reason. Coming back to the lot of hue and cry, Indian Navy. Indian Navy has, actually speaking, legally nothing to do. Yes, morally, I felt bad because I had just met him, and he is a brother officer from a friendly country's ship. So that, but in war, when you declared, Adi, emotions, reasons, backyard, foreyard, they don't matter. हमारा backyard है, fine, yeah. But these two countries are at war. What do you do in your backyard? It's not in your territory. Can you do something? No, you can't do. Legally, no. But as I said, emotionally, yes, very much. Any ship sinking, I would feel very bad. Now, should we have known about the submarine's presence? Somebody said you shared. Now, this is being absolutely novice. It's like being a school child that we knew when we passed this Shudapa. I think this is, short of saying that this is being naive. I could have said worse things. You don't do this when you have. Firstly, we didn't know. It is a written law of the U.S. Navy that one nuclear submarine will be deployed on patrol in all five continents stroke oceans at all the time. That's the normal patrol. Now, where exactly in the patrol they are in Indian Ocean is a radius of 1500 kilometers. And if you see only down south, it goes right up to South Pole. So it's not possible for them to share. Yes, but being 2 plus 2, being Quad, being Malabar, they could have at least told us that look, we will be operating south of Sri Lanka up to 200 miles, 300 miles. Why? Not because we must know, no. Because our trade and our ships and submarines transit through this area. Our entire trade, 95% by volume, travels by sea. And it's coming from both sides.
yeah.
And they take this route. They could have been torpedoed. I mean, if we could not, it is our job to divert our own ships. We would have said, hey, look, please avoid this area, take a longer route.
Mm,
Go down further, 30, 40, 100 miles. From the point of safety of my own merchant ships, the trade which is coming into India, going out of India, our warship which are on patrol, we have a very close equation with Sri Lanka. We do so much of peace at patrolling, we do patrolling together. So it's a neighboring country, it's a friend, it's a friend. Maldives, we do the patrolling for them, for ourselves. So from that extent, had we would have expected that at least tell us that okay, you don't have to tell me the time, you don't have to tell me exactly. You say okay, for next 3 4 days we will be operating south of Sri Lanka up to 200 300 miles. Whatever. That as a friendly country who shares a lot of intelligence, we would have probably been much happier position. Not that we would have shared, but we would have avoided, prevented our own ships and submarines to go from there. So that is my, now coming back to how do you look at, is there on Hormuz as well or what?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I saw some comments regarding aircraft carrier, etc., etc. And in Indian Navy should give up all this chase. I think the if we have to really understand the oceans, Indian Ocean being one, you have to take a, if you view the world from space, and if you see the entire world, of course, I keep world map next to me. I've got a globe next to me. I always keep seeing this. This is the globe I've got here, right? So this gives you an idea that what does 70% of the world of made of oceans mean. So there's a very famous writer called Robert Kaplan. He writes about maritime issues and
The
you know,
Revenge of Geography is one of his most famous books.
yeah, yeah. And a famous book called Monsoon.
Monsoon,
That's
yes, sir.
yeah. Now this book, he tells you about oceans. He said it gives you an opportunity to look at the world as a whole.
Hmm.
And I have quoted him a number of times. I personally met Robert, a great man. The If you look at it, then you will find, or just for understanding sake, you just invert the Indian map. You will find there is so little of land. We only have water around us. If you see the Indian map upside down, you will find this. And you will find that why oceans become important. And I just mentioned 95% of our trade is traveling through this. Now, the ocean is not only meant with of choke points. There are only three, mainly Malacca Strait, Straits of Hormuz, and Bab el Mandab, Red Sea, and coming into the Gulf of Aden, which now the Houthis are saying that we will close it, we will attack. Now, these are lifelines of our trade, commerce, energy, and not only ours, of the world,
Global, yes, sir.
global. And we have a global duty to make sure that it is open. How do you make sure? On the choke points, it's not easy. Aircraft carriers are not meant to open the choke points. For that, there is a different strategy. Aircraft carriers are made for projection of power, carrying out an offensive and pulverizing a country, making sure that your lines are open on an oceanic level. So Indian Ocean is a big ocean. After all, the trade is not only going through choke points, it is also going through 3,000 plus kilometers of open sea.
Correct.
And this is not the only one. Chinese trade, the Chinese energy, the South Korean, Japanese, four economically advancing countries with high GDP, all four countries, they don't have their own oil. It's a pity. China imports 75, 80%. We import 75, 80%. Korea imports, Japan imports. And each one, the source is here, largely. Or Africa, again through the Indian Ocean. Or South America, Venezuela, again through Indian Ocean. So when tomorrow there is a war, when our Air Force and Army are under pressure on the LOC, how do you threaten the interest of these people?
Hmm.
You can only threaten at sea. And you need also you have a responsibility towards your IOR neighbors, Indian Ocean region neighbors. They look up to you. You are the biggest country in this whole zone with the strongest navy apart from the US
Maybe.
Navy, which is not a resident navy. So the power not only needs to be projected, you have to show the intention of using it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
To say that the aircraft carrier could not open the Straits of Hormuz, it's being little naive because they're not meant to open the. What will open the straits? Those two amphibious assault ships are on the way. By end of the day, they should be there. Or minesweepers or drone minesweepers. they virtually have to sweep the floor of the ocean, right? In this case, I'm afraid even that may not happen because you're not fighting the Iranian Navy. You're fighting a guerrilla warrior called IRGC.
Hmm.
IRGC does not come under the naval command. They come directly under the Ayatollah, who himself has not been able to form his coterie, and therefore IRGC right now is in completely autonomous mode. अपनी मर्जी से अटैक कर रहा है, अपनी मर्जी से हर चीज कर रहा है वो. That is why you will find he is hitting. Now the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Defense of Iran is providing a cover by making those diplomatic statements. Because there is no Ayatollah's command at the moment, not firmly established, and because these guys are autonomous, the government exercises some advisory control. It does. If the President Pezeshkian tells them that, this is what is to be done, they'll do it. I mean, there are, after all, people in uniform. But to fight a guerrilla, you will do well to remember the Vietnam War,
Hmm.
where the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy, they were shown the door.
Yeah.
So the point is that, one incident at one choke point, uh, one cannot form, such overarching
Major
statement.
opinions.
Yeah, sure. I think हम लोग पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं. We should take a much bigger view, and I'm sure the government takes a much bigger view. I have no doubts. Otherwise, they would not have permitted. They would not have permitted another 31 Rafale Marines to Navy, apart from that 26,
Yeah.
which must be irking the Air Force. I know it. But the point is that, yeah, yeah, I mean, you are an Air Force child, you know it.
नहीं नहीं
But
सर आई वांट मैं तो बोलता हूँ 100 I was one of the first people to report it. As a matter of fact, I
yeah,
said it's 144 Rafales coming in, not 120. And I'm so glad that the 31 total 57 का जो Navy का plan था, the initial submission that was 57 Rafales that the Navy asked for must
yeah,
be
that
given.
will happen. So I must tell you that Prime Minister Modi's government, hats off to him because he comes from a maritime state. He has a very good view, very good understanding of maritime.
Hmm.
And therefore, what you find that attention on the Navy is quite a lot. Because you see, the Army has to hold on to the front. Air Force has to support that. But navies of the world are borderless navies. There are no borders after 12 miles. Adi, there is no border. We don't talk about हमारी जमीन यहाँ तक है. नहीं नहीं, हमारा ओशन है भाई. हमारा तो we have to, and that is why when Prime Minister Modi says Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, this is what the Navy practices. He's right. Today, if somebody has been hit by us, we will be the first. The hitting ship will go first to rescue the survivors. That's the principle. So you saw during when Houthis were attacking ships in the Red Sea, the broken ships were being brought by Indian Navy ships to Indian harbors, shipyards, repaired, sent back. We picked up people, we stopped. None of them were Indian ships, Adi. None. They were Pakistani crew. We had them dropped to Pakistan. So that is our responsibility as a seafarer. In 100 days, 5,000 men, 20 ships, 900 hours of aircraft and drones. For whom? None of our ships have got hit. It is for the world. Because as a seafaring nation, this is our duty for the world. And we don't make any bones about it. We
Sure.
require that kind of power. Peacetime usage of all these ships. Every time a ship goes out, Adi, any ship, including aircraft carrier, and the smallest of ships, it always carries an HADR box. We call it a BRICK brick. Depending upon the size of the ship, the brick is small. What does it contain? Tent, medicine, water, food. All these things are there. There's a scale laid down. That's why you'll find, they will reach there and immediately you'll find, the doctor has gone and medicines are being given. How does it happen? You don't have to load or anything. The immediate relief is given. And we are operating in the Indian Ocean 24/7. We are operating in seven places, which is called the mission based
Yeah,
deployment.
yeah.
You blow a whistle and they will come. All those seven places. Our maritime domain awareness is very robust. We can look at entire Indian Ocean 24/7 by means of ships, satellites, submarines, aircraft, drone. All of them feed into the MDA, Maritime Domain Awareness.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
is not secret. This is open government of India का
Yeah,
उपक्रम
yeah.
है ये.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There
Yes,
are
sir.
some 46 countries who are members. At least I think 8 or 9 countries have their naval officers positioned there, posted all the time. Manesar, they're the headquarters.
The Indian Navy Fusion Center,
Yeah, you're right.
Indian
IOR,
Indian Ocean, yeah, Indian Ocean Information Fusion Center. Yes, sir.
no, yeah, it's called IOR IFC. You're right. Fusion Center आपने ठीक बोला उसको. It's called IOR Fusion Center, IOR IFC, International Fusion. So this is the now. How do I look at this war? It's bad. Firstly, I mean, I as a naval officer, as a whatever thinking I can do, I can't figure out why was this war done.
Oil,
I
sir.
I
Mainly.
can't really. The end state is not known.
Yeah.
The goalposts have shifted virtually at every stage. Firstly, regime change. They realize it's not possible. Then remove Ayatollah. He's been removed. Now again back to regime change. They realize the regime is still functioning. Take out nuclear, that bogey is over. Because I am told what I've been seeing from open source from programs that you guys only run. Some 440 kgs of uranium, which is 60% enriched, has been hidden behind the hills. In fact, Russia made a statement. I believe that you give it to us, we will keep it in safe custody. I don't know how true it is, but because as you rightly said, the false news is got more than the
Yeah.
actual news. So that is that. Now, what has happened now next? Take out the long range missiles. We have not. They have not been able to achieve. Now I will take the Kharg Island. Now Kharg Island is most defended island in the world. You will have to take out all those bloody SAM system, missile systems, and guns. For that, if you go and pulverize that island, you can. They have complete aerial superiority. If you do that, then you may be destroying the oil producing wells and the machinery.
Hmm.
Because if you want to capture that, why do you want to capture it? Because you want the oil. 20% of, I mean, most of the oil of Iran comes from there only, Kharg Island. And now the Marines are coming. They are yet to take a call because there is a lot of pressure from the MAGA group also for not landing the boots on ground. Because boots on ground, then we are in for a long war. Now, the manner in which the IRGC is hitting all the platforms on the other side of the Gulf, that and yesterday Israelis have hit the Paras gas site, which is supplying to Azerbaijan and Iran and some more countries in the neighborhood. If that has got over now, let us see how much is the damage. If Iran stops producing all this, the world is heading for a recession. It's a big economic impact. We have not realized this till now. I'm telling you, there'll be food insecurity because Gulf is not able to export urea, sulfate, and most of the fertilizer manufacturing, ingredients which come from Gulf alone.
Correct. Correct.
46%. I'm telling you, we are heading for a very big food insecurity होने वाला है. And if this Kharg Island thing goes on, if it is not sorted out immediately, now the Qataris have stopped giving gas because they have actually been hit. So they're not producing any gas now.
Even today, UAE is given a statement, sir.
Yeah. So the point is that Gulf should not be looked at only. Iran is not the only country. The world economy is running on this Gulf because nobody has that kind of gas. Nobody got that kind of oil. Okay, you have Venezuela, fine. But all told, all oil taken into account, including Russian oil, that the world is running, the economy is running. So we are heading for a price rise, we are heading for a scarcity. I don't know. I mean, I can go on,
Yeah.
but this has to be brought to an end.
So, so when you look at the maritime prowess that has been shown by, let's put it both sides, Iran also with its, I mean, you mentioned a little bit about the Iranians. What can we learn from the Indian Navy, sir? For me, and as a layman, unmanned drones, which is fantastic, underwater drones. Um, the area dominance. They've not really dominated that area, but they've harassed that area, Iranians, and that harassment is good enough to kind of block the entire thing. Now, our navy is gone in, and we are getting our ships out, and 22 more ships. Now, Iranian foreign ministers also said Indian ships will be cleared. That's not a problem. So, हमारा तो ठीक हो जाएगा. We will be able to sort ourselves out. So, our deployment over there in that region in a conflict zone. Two, three, the aircraft carrier you already confirmed, but naval air power का जो projection, this whole war is being fought from the Americans with pure naval air power. I mean, they've got land-based these things, but pure naval air power is in play right now. And most importantly, sir, ISR. So, what are the in these four things? How would you kind of tell us to the Indian Navy to learn out of this, sir?
Okay, broadly, Adi, I understand. Broadly, the navies world over or in the maritime domain, uh, you practice a combination of the um, what is called the sea control. Now, sea
Hmm.
control is required on the first thing that you mentioned, the reach of the navy. Because if you're operating in a particular area, you found that a bubble of maybe 200-300 miles, nobody can enter. You have complete dominance of air superiority, surface superiority, underwater superiority. That you have to ensure. Bigger the aircraft carrier, and the aircraft carrier acts as a command platform. Being big ship, it has got all kinds of communication, worldwide communication at all times, including all satellite communication. Satellite communication not a big thing these days. So, in the sea control mode, an aircraft carrier is very necessary. You require a big platform from where you can launch aircraft. You can biggest advantage is that you can shift the theater of operation. If you are, let's say, fighting on only the western border side, that area, you can shift the attention of the enemy to his western end, right? Bring it further closer to Pasni, Jiwani, that side.
Hmm.
Force him to move his ground troops. Force him to shift his ground troops so that the pressure on our army becomes less, right? Or if it is, let's say, Chinese, you start harassing his bloody oil supply lines in the Indian Ocean on the choke points. Every time he comes out, you declare it's a missile firing zone because, as I said, ocean as a whole, after 12 miles, it is nobody's territory
Yeah.
except for exploration, for which EZ and all count. Now, so that is one. But what happened? The navies which don't have so many assets, they also practice sea denial. Now, sea denial by and large is practiced closer home. If you're not able to take to big sea, like for example, Pakistan always practices sea denial because he does not have much coming from the ocean or going from ocean. The oil comes from the Gulf, it hugs the Makran coast and enters the one of the ports. Doesn't require. And same thing for his other imports.
All of these things. Okay.
Only thing is he gets it from China now. But all these days he was practicing completely sea denial because it doesn't have a big platform. So it's not a blue water navy, it's not an oceanic navy because it doesn't have anything to do with rest of the sea. We have everything to do with sea. 95% of our trade on sea. Who'll get hit where? I don't know. Secondly, now it works out very well that we have this mission based deployment at seven different locations in the Indian Ocean, which includes aircraft, ship, submarine, satellite. They're always looking at it. So it is good that we were in that area somewhere so that when it was time for the government to say, okay, can you escort this so and so ship? He said, yes, I'm here. And he gets in. From the time the order has been given, he is already there to escort him out. Or maybe he must have supplemented even more ships because there are 22 or
Yeah,
23 ships lying there. But the point is not, the point is that this 23 ship is not the end of our requirement. We require so many ships every day. What
agreed.
happens then? Yeah, it's a cycle because you have only so much of strategic reserve. You have only so many refineries. They have so much of capacity. So it is meeting day-to-day requirement. The country moves on the oil and gas.
Yeah,
Every country. And nuclear energy, which we don't have plenty. That is why Prime Minister Modi's move to make these small modular reactors to have every city have one SMR is very important and very thought out. It has not been thought, and now apparently, France and Canada. There's actively. I read in the paper somewhere that these two countries are in dialogue, and we should have it because we are making our reactors. We don't make small reactors. We make big reactors only for the submarines. So having nuclear reactor, nuclear power, and our aircraft carrier with nuclear power, giving it a more speed, having more attack submarines with nuclear power. SSN, which India is making the first one now, not SSBN. SSBN is strategy. You know,
strategic.
nuclear power and nuclear missiles. Whereas I'm talking about a nuclear power only, so that it can dash, it can move fast, 20, 25 knots underwater. So that is one thing. The second thing that I would say that now ISRO has to go on fast track to launch as many satellites as possible. Our entire area of interest should be covered without any break. Right now, what happens? Satellite has got this much of width swath. It can see only so many kilometers if it is stationary satellite. Or if it is going around low Earth orbit, then it has to wait for a pass. So you should have such a system that it is our area of interest should be covered all the time. I am told the Iranians, the IRGC, etc., are getting all the input of accurate position of the ships and other things on the Gulf is by Chinese
Russians,
satellites.
Russians.
Chinese and Chinese. That's what I heard. That's what I read in the papers. We don't have so many. First of all, we have to have very accurate Mavic system is fine, but it will have to be backed up with more number of satellites. But don't forget, satellites can also be shot down very easily.
Yeah,
So that's the point.
that systems. Yes, sir.
So you need to have more standby satellites. I would say 10, 15, 20 nahi chalega. The Chinese have launched 269 satellites in 1 year alone, which is last year. Out of which 69 satellites are ISR capable.
Mm.
So you get airborne from here, Adampur or wherever. He sees that you're getting airborne. He sees you're airborne. Then he passes it to Pakistan because Pakistan is a, shall I say, autonomous region of China, as I always call it. I called him in your program also. I've called him the last time. It is PR, Pakistan Autonomous Region of China, PARC. Nothing is its own. Take any weapon system, you take currency, you take economy, you name it. Nothing is its own.
Bikawa Desha, sir.
Yeah. So he gives it to their ops room. Their ops room passes it to whom? To Chinese aircraft. To which missile? Chinese missile. Which missile? With the PL-15. Though that also can take. So he's actually firing at you at real time. So it is not, sensor to shooter. It is from satellite to destruction. Even he sees the destruction also taking place. I wrote an article during Op Sandur, immediately after Sandur in first post, just telling this is what is happening. Even if we have lost one aircraft, they will be lost because of this targeting. So we need more and more satellites, which will be very useful for accurate positioning.
Hmm.
तीसरी चीज, so this sea denial, as I said, sea denial, what the IRGC is doing is practicing sea denial because it doesn't have big navy. He is denying you access to come inside. It is practiced best at choke points, narrow,
Correct.
restricted areas. So what do you have to do? You have to be able to fight that sea denial strategy. How? You got to have, as you said, drones. Now you have drones, drone ships, submarines, which can carry this gear, sweeping gear. Mine sweeping gears are, like anchor, like your जग्गड़ होता है ना कुएं से
Hmm.
उठाने वाला,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
that
Hmm.
kind of big ones. If they're contact mines, they virtually drag at the bottom and they pick it up. Then you'll say it might burst. Yeah, it might burst. That is why these things are stream in a cable which runs into hundreds of meters,
Okay.
so that the ship doesn't get affected. Then you also have magnetic mines, you also have acoustic mines. They get activated by the magnetic field of the ship.
And
So,
sound.
oh, that's later. First, magnetic field. So, what do? Your minesweepers are made of fiberglass. It doesn't produce any magnetic field. Very clever, isn't it? Now, acoustic. What happens? Propellers make acoustic noise. What do? You mask the acoustic signature. How? There are methods. If you got, then you carry four propellers and run only one.
The levels of sound are much lesser.
बिल्कुल. You have sound
Wi-
suppressors in this.
in the Second World War, they put those magnetic strips around the ships and created a differential magnetic field, which was disturbing the
Yeah,
this thing.
no,
Yes, sir.
it used to nullify the magnetic field of the ship.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have drone submarines, drone ships, and drone underwater platforms which can swim. So you see, you have to do that. And then when you go inside, you got these small boats to fight. How do you do it? Very difficult. Small boats, what the IRGC has with missiles fitted on it, they are very risky. So somebody has to do the talking. It is like sitting in your house, having all missiles around you. Anybody wanting to come inside your house, will you let him in? No. You will die before that. You pulverize that fellow. That's all you can do. But if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
pulverize
Yeah.
all his surface to surface missiles, Adi, are fitted, are submerged in ground, and most of them in the hills. You can't see them. Now you can imagine satellite input into the underground ops room, passing it to this missile which is inside the, giving it the position, it fires from there. You can't
Hmm.
destroy that site. You cannot destroy that missile site. You can only destroy the ones of whose position is known, what the Israelis are doing now. So I see very little, because you see in Shia the Qurbani is considered the ultimate achievement of life.
Yeah.
If you go back to old days of when actually it came into, Hassan Hussein Tazia आपने सुना होगा. Hassan Hussein were two brothers, practicing this. They were virtually sort of put inside a wall and sealed. That is why you will find on that day Qurbani is remembered by Hi Hassan, Hi Hussein and Tazia उठाते हैं उनके लिए वो. For them it is a very big religious matter. Qurbani is a religious. So now obviously then uh, body bags is not a, it's a considered a sort of achievement in life.
Hmm.
So I see, if it is not stopped, within a reasonable time now, I think we may be already on the threshold of seeing the global economy impact will be very difficult to recover for few years, to my mind.
Sure.
I'm not economist, but whatever little I study and see this, being naval officer, we look at this trade, you look at how much impact it will have, how much energy require, all that. Some teaching is done in our academies, we learn. But I really, I really see very, very bad times ahead of us. Very bad times. Whole world. In fact, now the Prime Minister of Finland has officially said that Prime Minister Modi is the only one who can stop this war. So I don't know. I'm sure something must be happening, but at the diplomatic level, and but I think anybody who can lend his hand to stop. I've been watching CNN, BBC all night,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of pressure on the MAGA, but now the MAGA supporters are also going against President Trump. So the domestic thing is quite. Last evening there was a hearing, standing committee of intelligence hearing of the intelligence branch. We had FBI director, we had director national intelligence, we had director army intelligence, we had director CIA. All four, five of them sitting and being questioned by the committee. And I tell you what question they have been asked, and but there were a few things which could not have been said in that forum. They said we will wait for the confidential meeting,
Confidential this thing, yes, sir. So
and and
interesting, sir.
and yeah, and some of them said, I will choose not to answer this question because they are also under oath. They are also under oath. They Americans are very clear about this. Very clear. What is under oath, they will not reveal even if you kill them. They will not. There were a few things which
Yeah.
may not be able to in the confidential meeting also, which is personal between one to one between president office and these people directly. Those things even they can't be shared. So
So
I think that
basically, sir, extremely interesting times.
yeah, interesting from the point of analytics like us, you and I are sitting and sort of analyzing and looking at it more independently, and it is quite possible that because we are far removed from ground reality, etc., we may be going wrong many places. Like looking at one incident, somebody has passed a judgment that aircraft carrier के दिन खत्म हो गए, Indian Navy मत chase करो, सब budget हमको दे दो, that kind of thing. Anyway, but these are, see, opinion. Everybody has one, and what else do we have? Only one. At the bottom, we have only one. So, so is opinion. Everybody has one opinion. So, can't blame them for having an opinion, and they may be right also. Never know. But it should be
Yes, sir.
backed with many examples, not one example. Strait of Hormuz is not to be fought by aircraft carrier, and that is why now there is a lot of rumor that Abraham Lincoln has been hit and it is under fire. This is that wrong. Abraham Lincoln has not been touched. It's a tactical maneuver, relocation. Fortunately, unfortunately, when you see relocation of aircraft carrier, it will be 600 kilometers, 700 kilometers. वो 2-4 किलोमीटर नहीं जाता है. His relocation means whole body armada has to move. Why making space for the amphibious assault ships?
Yeah, that
Amphibious
that
assault ships are coming. Now he will act as command platform. Which ship has been hit or fired? That is Gerald Ford, which was in the Red Sea area. There has been an internal fire which looks like a sabotage by one of the crew.
laundry
Investigation is,
fire.
huh? Yeah, he was near laundry quarter. Yeah, that's correct. And laundry next door was very, toilets, all that has got choked. People are lined up big queue. It happens on ships. So people sitting here, hey, he can't go for pretty crap also. Listen, yeah, you must live on ship. Then I mentioned to somebody jokingly, can you imagine if it happens in a submarine? If it gets pretty choked. Imagine in an enclosed space, so many people. But that's never life. That's the naval life. That is what, and it's not that every time everything is functioning on a ship. No, 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 no.
No, obviously, sir. There is
No, not at
redundancy
all.
which is there.
It's a day-to-day, survival. And we remain at sea. Aircraft carriers remain at sea for 5 months, 6 months, particularly the nuclear powered ones. They endless. They can carry on till such
Hmm.
time the core fuel is available. So I think that it's an interesting time as an analyst, but I find this whatever is happening is really very very sad and very something has to be done to bring this to a halt. immediately. I don't know how President Trump who will sort of approach. Only inner pressure within country, domestic pressure can probably compel him, because after all he is a politician, so he will think about, and he's got the midterm elections coming of the Senate. I think by middle of this year or something. I don't know. So there, the Republicans' popularity has dropped to some 9% or something like that. So now the MAGA senators and congressmen are also very worried. They are beginning to go against him openly. So I think only domestic pressure can get him to
Let's see, sir.
IRGC. It's okay. I mean, but another problem is the production of oil, the main source of income of Gulf countries. Imagine that having been stopped by and large. What will happen to their economy? Tourism finished. So we are
Let's see, sir.
looking at
This is going to be a very tough game.
very tough game to recover from here. The world economy. I don't know. Some people have to start doing bloody work from now. Economists will have to sit down. कि अभी क्या करें? How do we go forward from here? In fact, he
Sir.
has requested China. China is already doing work. They're already talking to the Arab countries. Wang Yi is moving around all over the place. They have good equation with Iran. So do we. We are the two countries who have good equation with both. The Americans and Iran. But as I said, maybe easy. Or maybe Oman. Oman was already, doing some good work when this attack was done, because the talk was in progress in Muscat. Between Iranian representatives and the American representatives.
Sir.
Give them some time to do it. So I think I've spoken enough now.
Thank you, sir, for that. Thank you for your time and thank you for the analysis. Uh, to my request to all the audiences, please like, subscribe, and of course share this with your friends and families. And of course, drop your comments as to what do you guys think about what Sir spoke about. Give us your thoughts, give us your opinions, and of course, let us know if you want us to cover anything else. Sir, once again, always a pleasure joining you and having you on the platform. Looking forward for our next one very soon. Namaskar.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.